I wanted to show something pretty useful here. This is the HFC leak standard. They don't say what the gel is. The gel evaporates, similar to like what an air freshener does. They have a hole right in the cap. You see the hole, and then there's just a filter there. There's no sort of membrane or anything special, about that hole other than, it's just there. But it allows this stuff to evaporate, and as it evaporates, it releases the fluorine, and which is sensitive by the HFC leak detectors, particularly leak detectors for R410a. So I wanted to show how this thing works, and it's quite a few parts per million coming out. This is a lot bigger leak than the standard for the H10, which is the R11 with the plastic membrane, works through osmosis, and so the leak is quite a bit bigger, but it's still useful for checking your leak detectors. So I wanted to start off here showing with the H10. Actually, I'm gonna show with the CFC reference leak and then the HFC reference leak, and this is from Yellow Jacket Richie. And first, with an H10 with the sensor running normal sensitivity, it's quite sensitive to the CFC at a distance of about a quarter inch. And then you can also tell which way the wind's blowing. Wind's blowing right about in that direction right there. So you see how the H10 picks it up when you're downwind of the leak, coming out of the leak. And when I say wind, this is indoors, it's just breeze in the room from the air conditioner. So H10 can pick up that leak a good, maybe inch away. Right there. So, but you go to the HFC, which is a fluorine based, and H10's nothing, completely missing. This leak is probably 10 times bigger. The HFC leak is 10 times bigger than the CFC leak. And let me zoom in on that a little bit. So, you can see the H10 PM is pretty useless on HFC refrigerants, and that's also what my parts per million testing shows. And just totally miss it. Very useful when there's chlorine in it. For the R22, not good for the R410a. Turn that one off. So that's showing a H10. Missing that reference leak completely. Okay, here's the high dollar, spend $8,000 new HLD4000, and it's quite sensitive to both. First of all, so you can see here, it'll pick up, you can get a distance, you can see on the bar there. So we got a good maybe 2-3 inches of picking up the air blowing off the thing. Of course, if you get right on it, it goes, pretty bananas. So, right there, the air, let me zoom in here, you can see better. So there's a slight breeze in the room, and it's, the breeze is going to be not too uniform. Anyway, you can pick up that reference leak about 2 inches away. And then when you go to the HFC, which is right here, and you can see it'll also pick it up, but not nearly as sensitive. And this is also what the parts per billion test shows on this one. And you can see it doesn't even alarm it. This auto zeros. It auto zeros, so I have to pull it away for a second. put it back. Let me make sure I'm not getting any R11 there. So this is the pure HFC. Let me check around, make sure the wind is still blowing the same. So, yeah, you know, you can pick it up about 1/4 inch away with an $8,000 leak detector. And right there, a few bars, and then of course you get right on it. Almost alarms. Actually, you're not seeing that. Zoom out just enough. Okay. Now you can see the display. So, I mean, about a 1/2 inch. Picks it up on that one. Which is, you know, this one's quite a bit larger leak. I'll have to see what they spec it at. And, but I didn't think, I never saw a reference spec to how big this leak is, because the way the leak is designed, it's not going through an orifice, it's just a gel in there that it's evaporating, going through an open hole. There's not a restriction. And for a leak standard, you either got to use a capillary restriction or you got to use an osmosis restriction. So anyway, HLD4000, you know, picks it up, reasonably sensitive. Now I'm going to get the leak detector that this one came with. I got it running downstairs so that it's already hot. Okay, so here we got it's the Yellow Jacket AccuProbe 2, which is the same as the AccuProbe UV and the AccuProbe 1. They all use the same sensor. They're calling it heated solid electrolyte sensor. It's heated. It's not a heated diode. I'm assuming it's capacitive, you know, when they're saying electrolyte. And you know, where a capacitor is changing value. So let me show you on this one. Okay, first on the 1/10 of an ounce R11 leak, as you can see, you know, it's zero sensitivity to it. Even though this thing is saying it's supposed to be 3/100ths of an ounce a year, this is documented as 1/10 of an ounce a year, and basically, by looking at the R11 as over the years, I've had this for a few years. I mean, it's basically about 1/10 of an ounce a year leak. And the Yellow Jacket's not picking it up at all. So it's not sensitive enough. And I have, oh actually, let me erase. Okay, sensitivity is set to high. Okay, Yellow Jacket. Yeah, okay, it does pick it up. Alright, scratch that. Let's see how far it picks it up. Because you remember with HLD4000, I could pick it up about almost 3 inches away. You're running downwind, you know, from the leak. On the Yellow Jacket, the AccuProbe, yeah, you pretty much got to be right in the hole. That's where you're going to have the highest concentration in parts per million, you know, coming right out of the orifice. And it only picks it up periodically, and there's also a substantial delay. Let's count the seconds. I'm just going to move it like right here. Okay, 1/1000, 2/1000, 3/1000. So that's a 3-second delay. Let's try that again. 1/1000, 2/1000. So 1 second delay. Okay, again. 1/1000, 2/1000, 3/1000, 4/1000, 5/1000. Okay, I missed it. Let's try it again here. Make sure y'all can see that. I'll zoom in. One 1,000, 2. Okay, so about 1 second when you're right on the leak, but sensitivity is quite a bit lower on the CFC, and where you got to be exactly right on the leak. Anyway, the sensitivity seems to be higher on the CFC, and see how far we can pick it up. And you can see its sensitivity is actually quite a bit higher than even the HLD4000 on the HFC, but it is, you still get that noticeable delay. Actually that wasn't bad. Let's do it again. 1000, 1000, 1000. Yeah, cool. So we got distance there of 1 inch. Distance, turn that back on. It's quite a better sensitivity to HFC. But you know, the parts per million testing, actually I didn't do it on the yellow jacket yet. I'm going to be doing that after this video, the parts per million on the R410a. But I like this is a quick little field test. It's pretty nice. So I would say on the yellow jacket, about 1 inch. Sets off about 1 inch away. On the AccuProbe 2, and which is that's pretty decent. So now let me show, this is the one that has the highest sensitivity so far in the testing, the Fieldpiece SRL8, and take it off mute. Sensitivity is on high. So it's not super sensitive on the CFC. So basically on the R22, it's not picking up the reference leak at all. A little bit right there. A little bit right there. Nah, it's going to be hit or miss. And I'm going to try manual mode. Hold it down. Re-zero it. Here's manual mode. Nothing. Go back to auto mode. So SRL8 is completely missing the reference leak for the R22. Let's go to the HFC. So you can see quite a bit sensitive. Let's see how far out it is. Now notice how much more further I can go. So now I'm talking about, I'm about 3 inches out, 4 inches out. There it is right there, 5. There's 6 inches out, still picking it up. Turn the camera a little bit. Get that a little higher. I mean, this is what you want. You want to be able to pick up the leak with a reasonable amount of distance. Okay. So there's 6 inches. Now you see how big this leak is. I mean, I'm picking this thing up. It's almost like filling up the whole table, you know, with HFC refrigerant. I mean, re-zero here. I'll move this one back. And make sure I'm not picking up anything there. So I'd say it's a good 6. You gotta follow where the wind is. So I can pick it up almost a foot away. And about 8 inches. So with the Fieldpiece SRL8, which is showing the highest sensitivity in parts per billion, and I was actually I'm going to retest it tonight and do another video on it. But I'm getting 200 parts per billion sensitivity on the Fieldpiece. I can pick up the leak standard made by Yellow Jacket. Also, I did notice that there's a couple other companies using the same leak standard, and one of them was the JBLD5000 was using it, and one other which I don't remember. And it's quite a bit leaking, a lot more than you need, because certainly, you know, you can see I'm picking it up, you know, almost like the smell of perfume, you know, so far away. It's releasing so many you know, trillions of atoms. And now I'm going to get one last leak detector to show. I know this video is getting a little bit long, but the main thing I wanted to come across on the video is the sensitivity difference between the chlorine-based, which is the Bacharach leak standard, and the fluorine-based, which is this newer HFC leak standard, which is leaking a lot more, and showing sensitivity difference. So I'm going to get the leak detector that this came with and show you sensitivity. I got it running downstairs here. Oh, actually it was. Okay, we already showed it. It was, it came with the Yellow Jacket, which we already looked at. It was, you know, not too far, about a 1/4 inch. So this was the best one for the CFC refrigerant. Just wanted to show it. So you say about 1 inch. It's almost as sensitive as the $8,000 leak detector. That's why I'm recommending the Inficon TechMate as the leak detector to use for R22. It's quite sensitive. R0 here. So you can see, we can pick it up a good 2 inches away. I get right where the air is, right about there. I'm sure my breath is affecting which way these things are blowing. So the Inficon PerkMate picks up the R22 pretty far away. Go back to the HLD4000, which is right here. I can pick it up. Right. So you see you're almost about the same sensitivity as the $8,000 leak detector. So about 2 inches. Getting the same spot. Inficon HLD4000. So $8,000 leak detector. Right there. $200 leak detector. Right there. $8,000. Right there. $200. Wind moving it around. Indoor wind. So that's why this is just as sensitive, as that one. It's quite a bit more sensitive than the H10, back there, and it's definitely easier to use, for the guys in the field. Just a button to turn it on. And then you can give them this leak standard, and they can make sure their leak detector is working. And also a really fast response, 1000 is less than a second, response. So a good little leak detector. Oh, let me show on the HFC refrigerant. You can see it's barely getting, a very, zoom in here. On a very large leak, here, barely picking it up. This is a large HFC leak. You got to be right on top of it. And if you remember, this is why I recommend use this one for the R22. Use the TechMate, or you can use the PerkMate, but you got to have the blue sensor, the blue bag sensor. And then, let me turn that off. Use this one for the HFC, which is the Fieldpiece SRL8. And if you remember, this little bottle is basically covering my table with refrigerant, and it's so sensitive. And so, use these two together. Let's say it's $500 for both of them. You're going to be way better sensitivity, than an $8,000 leak detector. And they're both quite easy to use. And you won't miss any leaks with these. And then carry these two different leak standards. You can make sure your leak detectors are running at peak performance. Bear in mind, this leak standard is huge, so you need sensitivity, several inches away, or at least an inch away, with the Fieldpiece SRL8. And then the same thing on the old Bacharach leak standard. And these, you can get them for like $40. And if you want, you can get a little bottle of R11 and refill them yourself. And and then you could keep these leaks going forever. Remember, never open the cap. The leak is through the membrane. It's actually through a clear piece of plastic. Is how the leak comes out of the hole there. So use for your R22, your PerkMate, you get about 1 inch sensitivity when there's no wind. If you're outside, you're going to have to hold it right on the top because the outside wind will blow it. And then you can make sure your PerkMate, is running good. And you can be set your CFCs and your HFC refrigerants.